On a hot sunny day in August 2007, the quiet town of Esto in Florida was the scene of a tragic paddling pool accident. But as the days passed, one 6-year-old boy would be instrumental in uncovering the truth, and the truth was something that would sicken everyone involved in what was thought to be the accidental drowning of Adrianna Hutto. Hello and welcome back to Behind the Crime with me, Kaybon, here every Monday with a new case. Initially, today's case had me thinking how strange it is that they took the testimony of a 6-year-old boy, and I thought that's really not ethical, and how do you know that you're getting the truth with a child? But once I started to look at all the evidence that was presented to court, I actually started to sway to the other side and think that this boy probably was telling the truth. So let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are after this case. I love reading all your comments and I love to get different perspectives on how you feel about cases. So with that being said, let's get straight into today's case. Amanda Lewis, born the 7th of September 1979, was 27 at the time of the incident. She was a nursing assistant and quite often worked late nights. She lived in Esto, Florida, which is a very small place with only 361 people. She lived with her 2 children, Adrianna, who was 7 at the time of this case. Adrianna was described as being quite a wild child, and because of her behavioural issues, she was diagnosed with ADHD. At the time she was born, it was said that her mother had trouble bonding with her, as she was in the military for a short while and so didn't see her as often as she should have done. Her other child was a son called AJ, and he was described as being quiet and lovely and just being a very sweet child to have around. He was 6 at the time of this case. Both children had different fathers, so were half siblings. Now this case takes place on August the 8th, 2007. Because Amanda worked late shifts, she said that she started the morning by having a nap whilst the children were playing. When she woke up, the plan was to take the children to get new uniforms for school. She said just as she was tidying around the house, AJ came in and said to her that Adrianna was in the pool. Now, because Adrianna was quite scared of water, she thought that AJ probably meant that she was just playing around the pool. And also the pool ladder was always kept inside the shed, so it was unlikely that they'd have been able to get in the pool because of the ladder being kept away. I don't know whether the shed was locked, but I don't think the children could access the ladder without mum getting it. So because of these reasons, she didn't initially check when AJ came in and said that Adrianna was in the pool. But after a little more time, she went outside. When she did finally go outside, she saw AJ hanging over the pool, attempting to pull his sister out. That's when she said she quickly ran over and grabbed Adrianna out of the pool. She described seeing Adrianna as purple, blue, and not breathing.
He was raking in the water with his hand, like he was trying to grab her. I ran out the house. When I got to the pool, that's when I seen her. She was face down. She was very purple, very blue.
She frantically called 911 and attempted CPR while she was waiting for the ambulance to arrive.
I need an ambulance. What's wrong, ma'am? My daughter fell in the pool and she's not breathing. And she's not breathing? How old is she? She's 7 years old. All right, hang on just a second, ma'am. Oh, God. Her lips are purple. What do I do? Water's just coming out her nose. Please hurry.
Because it was an accident involving a child, the police showed up as well, and they took photographs of the scene. Once the ambulance arrived, Adrianna was taken to hospital, and AJ was picked up by his grandmother and his grandfather and taken to their house. At the hospital, Adrianna was rushed straight into theatre, and efforts were made to try and save her life. Medics worked for over an hour to try and save her, and in that time, a doctor came out called Dr. Linda Fox and explained to Amanda what they were doing and what they were trying to do and the efforts they were making in which to try and save Adrianna's life. After she'd explained everything, she said to Amanda, "Do you have any questions for me?" thinking that she would probably have questions about what the medical team are doing, how her daughter is there a chance she'll survive? But instead of asking the normal questions that you would think a parent would ask in this situation, she said, "Where is the vending machine?" At one point, the paramedics said that they did get a pulse. It was very weak, so they continued trying. And like I said, they tried for over an hour to get her back to conscious. But unfortunately, after over an hour of trying, they pronounced little Adrianna as deceased. Amanda was told of the devastating news that her daughter couldn't be saved, and doctors were quite astounded by how she showed no emotion at this news. Now, everyone reacts to grief differently, and you can't really judge someone on how they react to their grief. But you would expect that if you're a parent of a daughter who's just accidentally drowned and you're told that she's not survived, you would think you would have some emotion. But like I say, you can't always judge in these situations. Sometimes people just get frozen with shock. So I'm sure they've dealt with lots of people who have had to have traumatic news, and even though it stood out to them, they probably didn't think it was like massively abnormal, but they did think it was strange. Back at the house, police noticed that there was a little wagon next to the paddling pool, which is, I say paddling pool, but it was quite a large pool. And it was surmised that one of the children, probably Adrianna, pulled the truck towards the paddling pool and then got on top of the truck in which to reach into the paddling pool. And as Adrianna was quite caring about creatures, it's surmised that she saw some creatures in the pool and she wanted to lean over and try and rescue these bugs. And this is what she was doing when she fell in and accidentally drowned. Back at the grandparents' house, they were looking after AJ. Obviously, he's just witnessed something so traumatic and he doesn't know if his sister's alive or dead. But he started to say things that the grandparents thought were a little odd. And he was so adamant about what he was saying that it frightened the grandparents, and they thought, we really do need to tell police what AJ is saying. So Adrianna had been declared dead at 5:05 p.m. that evening, and approximately 4 hours later, at about 9 p.m, AJ was taken to police to discuss what he'd been saying to his grandparents. AJ was interviewed, and when asked what had happened to Adrianna, AJ said that his mum had thrown Adrianna into the pool and dunked her. Those were his words, dunked her, which is a very childlike thing to say. And when asked to show exactly what his mum did to Adrianna, AJ took his hand and placed it over his face like this. And he said that his mum had pushed Adrianna's face under in that way.
Mama, don't sister.
What does that mean?
Grandma. Adrian was letting this and Mama holding him on her throat so she wouldn't scream.
Today?
Mama, don't sister.
What does that mean?
Grandma.
He describes his mother in a fit of anger, incensed after Adrianna sprayed glass cleaner inside the house.
She done the stuff that she didn't supposed to, so my mom got mad at her. So she threw me in the pool.
Take a seat to sit in? Which one you sit in? You sit in that one? What you got? What's that? Sheriff badge. A sheriff badge. Who threw her in the pool?
My mama.
Mama threw who in the pool?
My sister, Adrianna.
And then what happened when she threw her in the pool?
She started holding her face. So Adrian started screaming, so I went, pow, 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 with my gun. So Mom said, stop it! So I didn't stop it, so Adrian screamed, AJ, call the police!
You said your mom held her face? She held her face. Yeah.
When asked why his mum had done this to Adrianna, he said it was because she was angry with her and she was doing it as a punishment. When Amanda was confronted with what AJ had said, she said absolutely not, that didn't happen. She would never ever hurt her daughter. And police even did her a polygraph test in which she passed. I know with polygraph tests, sometimes they can be a bit hit and miss. There can be certain situations and circumstances in which you could pass when you're being deceptive, and also you could fail when you're telling the truth. So they're not 100% guaranteed to be enough evidence in which you can use in court. So on the day of the incident, when the police went round to take photographs, they also noticed that in the house there was barely anything there. There was no toys for the children at all. The beds didn't have covers on, and they said that the house smelt like urine. When Amanda was asked about this, she said that all their toys had been taken away as punishment for them being naughty, and she'd locked them all in the shed. However, when police checked on this and they opened the shed, there were no toys that belonged to Adrianna or AJ there. Witnesses close to Amanda were also spoken to, and they told the story that quite often Amanda lost her temper with the children, namely Adrianna, because she was quite a wild child and very full of energy, and she had the ADHD diagnosis.
Amanda Lewis, how do you know her?
She's my daughter.
Adrianna Hutto, how did you know her?
She was my granddaughter.
Did she seem to have, your daughter seemed to have a short temper with Adrianna?
Yes, sir. She did have a short temper with her.
How about AJ? Did she have a short temper with AJ?
Not as much.
She was very upset, very irate, and we said, "What's wrong, Amanda?" She said, "I'm just gonna kill him and kill her." And I was like, "Don't say that."
She was just like at the end of her rope that morning.
But if she was struggling with the children, why didn't she get help? She had a mum, she had friends, she had neighbours. Witnesses also said that the children sometimes went unfed as well. Also, another interesting fact is that Amanda had previously had a baby before she'd had Adrianna and AJ, and the baby had died from suspected SIDS, so sudden infant death syndrome. But now that Adrianna had died as well, could she have been responsible for the baby dying all those years before? If she's someone that's got quite a ferocious temper, who knows, a baby crying could have triggered her to do something. It's just awful to think about. Now, this is one of the only cases that I've heard about where a 6-year-old boy is asked to testify in a court against his own mother. And as children do, his story started to change over time. He told a story of how he witnessed it all from a tree, and when police investigated as whether you could see the pool from the tree, they found that you couldn't. And then he'd said he was by the pool, which is very childlike. Children, when they're telling you things, they can fabricate things to make the story sound more interesting or more exciting. But let's not forget he'd been through a great trauma as well, witnessing what had happened to his sister. So he could have been telling other stories because maybe his brain was trying to protect him from what had actually happened, or maybe over time he was starting to forget pieces of what he'd said. But on the whole, his story was consistent of that of his mother throwing Adrianna in the pool and then holding her face under. Before the trial, Amanda was offered a plea bargain in which she would get 10 years in jail for admitting that she'd done this to Adrianna. And Amanda decided not to take the plea deal and go to trial. So in 2008, the trial begins. And the bit that made me think that Amanda was definitely guilty is on the autopsy, Adrianna was found to have bruising on her cheeks, which was consistent with finger marks. So she had a bruise here and here and here, which if you think is consistent with what AJ said about his mother holding Adrianna's face under the water.
As you can see on the side of the cheek here, it lined up perfectly with this side of my left thumb. This would be the index finger where it lined up.
If you would, ma'am, just use your left hand as you would on your face, demonstrating to the jury how that would have been. Okay.
As soon as I heard that, I thought, that's it, yeah, she is guilty. But to play devil's advocate, had she done this before with Adrianna? Had she punished her by dunking her in the pool and the bruising was from another time when she'd done this? Because we know that Adrianna was scared of water, which you would be if your mother punished you in this way. Could it have been from another time when she was doing it? And on the day that Adrianna did die, she fell in accidentally. That does not justify her punishing her daughter in any way, shape or form by doing this, and just for doing that alone, she should be in jail. But if it was something she was known to do previously, then AJ would have said, Mama dunked her in the pool, if it was something that she did as a punishment. But on the day, maybe she hadn't done that and it was accidental, and that's why she passed the polygraph. Just something to think about there. It's not what I think at all. I'm just throwing it in there to play devil's advocate, really. So AJ testifies, and in court there's a heartbreaking moment when he thinks his mum isn't in the court because she's already in jail. And one of the attorneys asks him where his mum is, and he says she's in jail. And he says, who is the lady sitting over there? And AJ looks and realises it's his mum, who he hasn't seen for 6 months. And he starts to cry, and bless him, it is so heartbreaking. And you just want to go over and hug him there and then.
Tell me what a lie is.
It's not the truth.
Can you tell me what the truth is?
It's not a lie.
If I told you your mother was in the courtroom here today, would that be the truth?
No, sir.
That would not be the truth. Why is that? Because she's not in the courtroom? Where is your mother?
Jail.
She's in jail.
That woman sitting right there between them, have you ever seen her before?
Yes, sir.
Who is that?
My mother.
Now you recognize your mother?
Yes, sir.
AJ? AJ?
Yes, sir.
All right. Here. Here.
Being a 6-year-old boy, he did incredibly well on the stand. Obviously, questions that were coming at him confused him because he's only a young child. It was a 4-day trial, and like I said, he did absolutely amazing. He was asked what happened, he described what happened, he drew a picture of what happened.
I want to show you this photograph here, 1B. Whose red wagon is that? How did that wagon get there?
My mom pulled it all the way from there all the way back to here.
Did you draw a picture?
Yes, sir.
Tell me, AJ, what is this right here? Who is this, or what is this?
My mama.
And what is she doing?
Killing my sister.
How is she doing that, AJ?
Putting her hand over her face.
What is this right here?
My mother's arm.
Your mother's arm?
And along with the evidence of the bruising from the autopsy, he made a fantastic witness. He made such a good witness, in fact, that there was more than enough evidence for the jury to convict within 2 hours. And she was sentenced to life with no parole.
Under Florida law, there are only 2 possible penalties that can be imposed for the crime of first-degree felony murder. They are either death or life imprisonment. This court adjudges you to be guilty of that crime and sentences you to imprisonment in the Florida Department of Corrections for the remainder of your life.
I don't know where AJ is now or how he's doing. Hopefully he's doing really, really well. But he was put into an adopted family, and I'm sure with the care and the nurture, he's been able to move through his trauma. I hope he's having a lovely, happy life wherever he is. In 2010, Amanda appealed her sentence and it was denied. What a heartbreaking case, thinking that a parent could have done this to her own child. And as I said before, even if she used it as a punishment before, how evil have you got to be to do that to your child? Especially one that's been diagnosed with ADHD. They can't help being hyperactive. And she'd got lots of support around her, so she did not have to do that. She hadn't bought toys for the children. She'd not got sheets on the bed. It just sounds like she can't be bothered with the children. And if that was the case, why didn't she have them adopted out to a loving family or let someone else who was in the family take care of them? I'm sure there would have been. But in the midst of this story, we've got to remember that a beautiful 7-year-old girl lost her life. Whether it was accidental drowning or whether her evil mother had done this to her, the world has lost a beautiful little girl who would have gone on, I'm sure, to do fantastic things in the world. And to have a case that involves the death of a young child is so upsetting. Adrianna is the same age as my youngest daughter now, and she has her moments that push me and test me, but I cannot ever imagine anyone who's supposed to love and protect to do this to their own child. And to have no toys to play with or anything that you can use as an outlet for that energy is just so sad. Those poor children. But thankfully AJ went to another family, which I hope gave him the love and attention and everything he deserved. Let me know what you think about this case. Do you think that Amanda is guilty, or do you think that she's innocent? Was it an accident or was it murder? Let me know your thoughts, your theories, and I will be back next week with another case. If you don't want to miss anything, hit the like and the subscribe and hit the little notification bell, and then you'll be notified every time I upload. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.